Today we are talking about scary stories to tell in the dark. This is directed by Andre Overadel and produced by none other than Guillermo del Toro. This adaptation of popular kids' books by Alvin Schwartz with nightmare-inducing art by Stephen Gammell is the perfect Halloween movie to introduce and possibly traumatize young kids to the horror genre. The plot centers around a group of teens who stumble on a haunted collection of stories that come to life, claiming them one by one until the mysterious curse is lifted. This movie checks every square on your spooky season bingo card. It's got nostalgic, small town vibes, cornfields, drive-ins, haunted mansions, spooky hospitals, and a wonderful opening set to the song Season of the Witch. And I would say the 60s setting also gives a familiar yet otherworldly atmosphere that kind of grounds it in reality, but also makes it feel legitimately dangerous. I feel like this movie kind of toes the line between kids horror and adult horror. It's like this weird no man's land between the two where it's kind of blurry. It had like humor, but it never like lessened the impact of the horror. Because like the kids who wind up in this situation, they're fucking gone without a trace. Like we're assuming they've just met a horrible fate. The scary stories to tell in the dark are written by a woman named Sarah Bellows, who had an unfortunate childhood, to say the least, and she is doing a bit of a haunting after that.
It was kind of a well-deserved haunting, in my opinion.
Because she was blamed for killing people.
Yeah, killing kids.
Yeah.
When it turns out it was her family. They were poisoning the water hole.
But then that being said, instead of, killing, bad people who kill children, she just turns around and kills children. So it's like, wow,
maybe
that apple fell so far from that tree.
Yeah, it kind of fell into that like Silent Hill and Paranorman type of
or even The
trope.
Ring, where it's like, these bad things happen and sympathies, but then also at the same time, like, why are you being such a dick, though?
Right?
When I first saw the movie, I wasn't really too big on the Sarah Bellows part, and it's not like my favorite part, but I understand why they put it in there to kind of like flesh it up and connect everything together.
I kind of liked it better than the stories themselves.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just an anthology of random stories, which there could be a movie made from that for sure, but there are also a lot of anthology stories that don't have that thing to tie them together, so I think that was a nice, unique aspect to the movie that I really appreciated.
I thought they did a fantastic job of capturing and bringing like these just like horrific, like childhood trauma-inducing paintings to life with your favorite practical effects.
Oh my God.
Like there's very, very little CGI in terms of like the creatures in this.
For me, it was the red spot. That one was like, that was not the stuff of my childhood nightmares. That's the stuff of my adult nightmares. Like, first of all, she's got this big thing on her face, and if you've ever had a zit, you just know how bad that hurts. And but then on top of that, all of the nasty pus factor. I hate pus. It grosses me out. I can do blood for days, but please don't show me pus.
But when she's like,
and then he's like, ooh, little spider legs.
Imagine if she popped it like prematurely, like actually like
Girl.
went in there before it.
You're gonna get us flagged on YouTube right now with this description.
Yeah. I just wanted to cry a little bit when I was like, man, could that happen in real life though? I need answers. I'm going down a rabbit hole on Google after this movie just to find out if spiders can live in my face. Horrifying.
What creeped me out the most is that fucking pale lady.
Pale lady just
I just don't like her.
You don't want her to hug you?
No.
She didn't creep me out. She just made me angry.
Yeah?
Like,
she was just there.
Too slow.
Just
like,
there.
pick up the pace.
Yeah, and like,
she's like,
I'm just gonna absorb you.
I remember that imagery.
She's my least favorite.
I remember her in the book a lot, but I didn't quite remember the story offhand.
I never read the book, so
she was torn from the page.
It just didn't hit me in the scares the way some of the others did. Like the lady that was under the bed, that got me. That was, that's like a classic childhood fear. And, for how long it's like I could not sleep with my feet not being covered by blankets, or God forbid if they dangled off the bed. Like, I swear that lady was gonna come get me.
Can we note though, Augie, Stu, ew?
Yes.
The toe?
Yeah.
And they were warning him. He's like, come on, like this, Mom, I'm gonna eat this stew that's in here. What stew?
Just take this giant bite.
If somebody's on the phone screaming at me to not eat something, well, maybe I would still eat it. It's hard
Out
to
of
think.
spite.
How hungry am I? Is it a sandwich? A Cuban maybe? There's factors.
I remember there was a lot of unhappy horror fans that were like, oh, it's a kid's horror movie. To which I would say, the book is a kid's book. It just happens to be very horrifying. It makes sense to me that, like, if you were adapting this book, it is technically a kind of a kid's horror movie. It's PG-13. But, like, it's a pretty fucking creepy kid's horror movie. Like, I feel like this is the perfect... If we're going to bring Goosebumps into this mix, this is the perfect thing to to drip feed your kids after they've watched Goosebumps.
Yeah,
it's like,
exactly.
okay, you did your little Goosebumps. Now do your scary stories, and then do Cannibal Holocaust.
Not all horror has to be rated R or not rated. Like, that's not criteria for what makes a good horror movie. There is a fine balance, and I think it's a great transitional horror movie. My niece likes horror. I tried to show her Corpse Bride and was so rudely informed that this isn't scary enough. Put on a real horror movie. So
get her on the show.
I am going to watch this movie with her the next time that we hang out, and we'll see what little girl has to say.
I showed this to my kids, and they've seen a lot of horror movies growing up with me. And during the toe scene, the under the bed scene, they were like white knuckled with their blanket over them, like sweating. And I remember like turning to my son, I'm like, "Are you okay, buddy?" And he's like,
"Was this too far?"
Yeah. So this has big like Midwestern Halloween vibes.
Yes.
And I fucking love a movie with a creepy cornfield. I love a creepy scarecrow movie. There's not enough of them.
That's
so
true.
Harold like just fit the bill for me, and that was one of the creepiest stories in the book when I was growing up too.
I agree, yeah.
So I thought they did that fantastically. As I said at the beginning, it like checked all the boxes for me. Even though the whole picture, like the Sarah Bellows thing, I'll take it because I thought it tied everything else together really well. And I don't know how else you would do it.
Honestly, the first few times that I watched this movie, I was not feeling it. Nothing against the movie. I'm definitely one of those people that sometimes I need to be in the right mood to appreciate a movie, and I'm glad that this was one that we were reviewing, because finally one of the times I put it on and I was like, no, okay, I like this. I'm looking forward to certain parts.
I think I was in the same boat. Like, I think it's probably like the mood that I was in watching it, but the last couple times that I rewatched it, I was like, okay, I'm looking forward to this. I'm looking forward to like those spiders or the jangly man, you know.
And then it made it to the end credits and Lana Del Rey came on, and I was like, I knew this was meant to be. Sing it, Lana.
Yeah, so this was a influential moment in my childhood, experiencing this book. My cousins had it, and it was one of those, it was like drugs. Like you didn't let your parents see that you were reading scary stories to tell in the dark.
My art teacher lent me them, and it wasn't in that big book. It was actually like separate books, little paperbacks. The
volumes, yeah. I think I had only seen volume 3, so this blew my mind when I got 1 and 2 collected under one hardcover.
Probably the first one, that Harold and the Pale Lady.
That's 3.
That's 3?
Yep, that's the one I got.
Okay, I didn't pay attention to the number when I was a child because I was just like...
We were drinking the same Kool-Aid. Seeing them adapt it, there were certain things I was looking for. It didn't hit every mark, but now that I know what it is dishing out, I can look at it with tempered expectations and really enjoy it for what it is.
Sure.
And like looking at it through the lens of like a good fall Halloween movie, I think it fits the bill. I think like this is something that you could like show your kids or young people in your life and you're like, hey, look at this. This is a great entry level, really creepy horror flick. Come back to me when you want to hit the hard stuff.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you're having a Halloween party and only some of your friends are super into gore and scary stuff, this is the perfect movie to put on.
So that was Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. Join us next week for Halloween, where we're going to be talking about the Halloween staple. Can we say that? Can we just say this is the quintessential Halloween movie at this point?
We absolutely can.
All right. It came out of the gate and it just fucking knocked it out of the park.
I own Halloween now.
Yeah, yep. So we're going to be talking about, you guessed it, Trick or Treat. So thanks everybody. We'll see you next week.